The Man Who Wasn't There. A poem for justice. The prison gates are closing. Let's go to days of past. Jump back to before the year of 2000. He wasn't there. Not in the room. Not in the moment. Not in the memory. But Michael Christopher Airo was sentenced to 15 years. For a ghost. For a memory rewritten by fear. By pressure. By whispers in the dark. Childhood photos and classroom images of Michael teaching. Michael was a teacher to our children. A mentor. A protector. He spent 2 decades shaping young lives with respect, with boundaries, with care. He gave kids structure, purpose, patience. But none of that mattered. Not when the justice system needed a villain more than it needed the truth. When justice becomes performance, the innocent become props. Courtroom drawings, empty jury chairs, echoing sounds. There was no evidence, no witness, no video, no message, no crime. Jane Doe said nothing happened. Her mother? The only adult in the house. She testified under oath not once, but twice, that nothing happened. And still, Michael was convicted. Not because of what he did, but because of what someone imagined 15 years later in old age. Visions of the prison yard blurred behind him. A story changed. A sister insisted. A boyfriend added details no one saw. And the prosecution? They didn't care if it was real. They cared if it worked. In this court, imagination is admissible. Truth is optional. A good story that sounds good is a good story. Michael Airo was groomed by a woman of around 40 years old when he was just 17. He was a kid when this whole story started. He lived in a house filled with chaos, with blurred lines, with manipulation. All started when the mother began hitting on Michael Airo, her daughter's teacher's aide assistant. The one thing he never did? The one thing no one ever proved? Michael never harmed a child. Never once. Never in general. The clock is ticking. The calendar flips months and months into the future without care. Time passed. 15 years. No complaint. No evidence. No danger. Just silence. Until someone decided to dig up a story, polish it with rage, and wrap it in fear. And suddenly, a man's life was over. The punishment? 15 years when the 42 was the goal for prosecutors. The crime? A whisper. Where were the journalists? The fact-checkers? The attorneys willing to say, "This isn't right"? Michael's defense was silence. His own attorney? Absent. Unfocused. Unmoved. On a sugar high, diabetes-stricken, and dizzy during trial. Even his attorney did not care about the truth. Michael's attorney had a diabetes episode as evidenced by the writings on the wall. Concrete evidence, but did not care that Michael deserves a fair trial. Instead, he put his reputation ahead of his ethical core values to ensure his client receives a fair trial and representation the law required he be provided. Medical conditions in the way of Michael receiving a fair trial, but no one cares of this fact. No one cares, including his own attorney. The court let the fire burn. Let hearsay become gospel. Let memory become metal bars. The prison cell is now his life. 7 years into the sentence. Another 5 years of jail for a crime that never occurred. Now Michael wakes up every day behind bars. A teacher locked away for a lesson no one learned. An innocent man condemned for a crime he didn't commit because there was no crime. Just pain. Just fear. Just a courtroom craving resolution. At the expense of a man's entire life. You can survive war. You can survive poverty. But can you survive being falsely remembered? Your legacy shaken. The truth ignored. Death with no care of truth. Honor. Integrity. Or the selfless life you led before the lies. The stories. The false accusations built upon malicious disdain of a sister who more accurately was jealous and liked Michael in childhood. The sister and Michael were of similar ages. She could not handle the fact Airo was attracted to her much older cougar mother. She could not handle the fact Airo was attracted to someone not her. She could not handle the fact Airo was attracted and obsessed with a mother and not with her when she is around Michael's age. This sister, she is the true criminal. The one spreading lies, stories, and suggestive questions into the ears of her easily swayed little sister. We live in a country that claims innocent until proven guilty. But what happens when no one proves anything? When guilt is assumed, and innocence is just a technicality? Michael Christopher Airo is not a predator. He's not dangerous. He's not guilty. In actuality, Airo is forgotten. But not anymore. You heard his story. But what will you do to ensure Michael gets justice? Gets a fair trial? Or gets heard? One false memory. One broken system. One innocent man in prison. Hashtag innocence matters. Hashtag this is not justice. Innocence should not be a death sentence. Hashtag free Airo. Hashtag innocent until proven guilty. Hashtag dismiss the case. Hashtag save Airo. Please subscribe and help us continue to bring about positive changes in the world. Innocence should not be a death sentence. Hashtag free Airo. Hashtag innocent until proven guilty. Hashtag dismiss the case. Hashtag save Airo. Please subscribe and help us continue to bring about positive changes in the world.